All right, welcome to MMA Al Dente. I'm here to preview UFC Fight Night, whatever the fuck, Santos versus Ankalaev. It's actually a really good card. I'm not going to delve too deep into this. I'm going to give you a prediction for each fight, and I will give you my bets as we go along. And again, I'll recap the bets at the end. There will be time cards, I think they're called, so you can scroll through the bottom of the video. And this is going to be the first time I say this, but be sure to like, share, subscribe, all that fucking douchebag shit that I've resented so many people for saying for years. Now I got to be one of those people. Give me a goddamn like, all right? Anyway, Santos versus Ankalaev. I'm picking Ankalaev to win. I just think he's the better striker, the bigger man. Santos is pretty big in his own way. He's certainly bulked up here at a light heavyweight, and it's only helped those leg kicks. But Ankalaev, I think, is just going to be too much for him. That's my prediction. I'm taking him to win via TKO. I think Santos, it's worth putting a $5 bet, the smallest possible bet, on Santos to win via decision, because he's turned into a very economical fighter. He's got great low kicks and great, he's got powerful striking, which does carry light heavyweight. He knocked out the former champion. But I don't like his pace. I think these guys fight for any fixed amount of time, and Santos is going to be on the losing end of that. He'll be outpointed, generally speaking. Now, he's got different tactics and whatever. He's a savvy fighter, knows when to explode and whatever. He could make it work against Ankalaev on the feet, but I just don't think so. And the bet that I like is Ankalaev via TKO. Oh, let me give my prediction. My prediction would be TKO round 4. But I do like just the general Ankalaev via TKO prediction. He's going to be moving around. He's going to just have everything on him, from mobility to diversity and attack to power. I want to say Ankalaev is the biggest, baddest puncher he's faced, or striker he's faced, at light heavyweight or any weight class. Hey, Stevie. Stevie decided to make her debut. Oh, no, she made her debut last week. Here she is. She made a return. All right. Taking Ankalaev to win via TKO, and you get plus 130 on that, which, it's not the greatest odds, but if you're sure of the victory, which I am, and it could go to a decision, let's be honest. That's what I think a lot of people expect. But Ankalaev is so deadly on his feet. For him to be winning a fight for 25 minutes against a guy who's been knocked out and fought largely at a smaller, lower weight class, I just like the TKO here. I think Ankalaev gets it done. Can't say if it'll be a spinning kick or a punch or whatever, but I just think Santos' chin and maybe his will fail him here over the course of 25 minutes. Next up, Song Yadong versus Marlon Moraes. I pick Song Yadong to win via knockout round 1, and I'm also going to bet on Song Yadong to win via knockout. If you know Marlon Moraes, you've been following him, then you know pretty much my reasoning for this. But this is still, it's not like it's lost on me how good of a fighter he is. I think he's winning this fight every second until he loses. It's pretty much how every other fight goes with him. He's maybe not the Sandhagen fight, but he's a very good fighter. About as good as it gets. I remember thinking when he was fighting Cejudo, I bet big on Moraes. I was convinced he was going to win and be the dominant champion. But, he's just, I don't know if it's always been there, if it's just hit the surface here in the UFC. But his chin now sucks. And, he's been knocked out a bunch of times, knocked silly and TKO'd. And Song Yadong, in particular, in this division, hits really fucking hard. There's only a few fighters that hit harder than him, maybe nobody. But he's one of the best. And even though he may not be the most sound fighter technically and tactically, he's a well-conditioned young athlete, trains out of Team Alpha Male. He's working, and he will touch Marlon Moraes. And, if this was a guy just like Song Yadong, but not quite as powerful, Casey, Kenny, whatever, some other worker like that, I wouldn't be betting against Marlon here. But I'm betting against Marlon. I think Song gets a knockout. I think it happens in round 1, but I can't trust that because Marlon is such a good fighter. I almost expect him to win round 1. So, but I have it in my head. Late in round 1, he gets knocked out. Could be round 2. Could be Marlon Moraes via guillotine choke. the fuck do I know? All right, Caceres versus Sadiq Yusoff. Alex Caceres, Bruce Leroy. I'm betting on Sadiq Yusoff. I'm really high on him as a fighter. I think he's, a powerhouse standing up, really fucking good. And, if he can't win with the knockout, he can win the striking battle, with his power, put the fear into his opponent. But I'm predicting, and I also think he's a really underrated grappler, which I think will come into play here. Not that he's Marcelo Garcia or whatever, but he's got really good top control. Really impressed me against Andre Fili, who's a very good fighter. So, Sadiq Yusoff, I'm expecting him to just have too much for Caceres. Caceres, he could style on him on the feet, but I just don't see it happening. I see him being bullied with the power. And Caceres, look, it's always worth putting a small bet on Caceres to win via submission, especially in round 2 or 3. You get incredible odds and whatever. And I do have faith in Alex Caceres to beat pretty much anybody in the world. Not that I would bet on him, but I think he could. And I do think he could beat Sadiq Yusoff. But Sadiq Yusoff, he's only been finished with a weird knockout on the regional circuit. He was knocked out by Luis Gomez. I know that's Bisping's co-host, a former co-host. But anyway, he was knocked out with an arm drag. They were clinched up. The guy tried to arm drag him, and he just went straight down. His head hit the mat like mine almost did with the fucking table right here, and he went unconscious. And that's just the kind of shit that Caceres could pull off in particular. He's kind of like their, whatever, weirdo, near Nico Price type of guy. But I'm picking Sadiq Yusoff to win via unanimous decision. I do think grappling will come into play. And on the feet, again, Caceres is very talented, but I think he's going to be bullied. Next up, no bets on that, aside from maybe a sprinkle on Caceres, but that's just pipe dream shit. Khalil Rountree versus Carl Roberson. I really like the under in this fight. That's my prediction, the under. No, but I'm predicting, I guess, Carl Roberson to win via submission round 1. Guy comes out like a fucking freight train, typically, even though he's probably tried to, tighten things up a little bit, mitigate his loss of control, and I should say gain more control. And Khalil Rountree, he's, this guy's got an avenue to win against just about anybody. He's not the best fighter. He's certainly not the most versatile, but he's got an advantage over just about anybody. We saw he was knocked out dead by Johnny Walker, but on the feet, by and large, this guy's a problem for anybody in the division. Those leg kicks are from hell, and that's what makes me like this fight. Not that I could see Rountree or either one of these guys winning a decision, but I just think the finishing probability is too high when you consider both of their faults and holes as fighters. And Carl Roberson, he could fill that hole, as gay as that's getting, tapping out Khalil Rountree. Khalil Rountree could chop down Carl Roberson. So I think this fight gets really interested, and I would be surprised to see it go past round 2. You get under 2.5 rounds for minus 145. I would advise you bet on that. Next up, Drew Dober, Terrence McKinney. This is a really interesting fight. I'm taking Drew Dober to win. But, man, the upside with McKinney is too high. I would not mind seeing McKinney win, especially taking this fight on 9 days' notice. Although I'm not going to dismiss that as like some guy that's out of shape because we saw him fight 2 weeks ago. He's really dangerous, really, very dangerous on the feet. A lot of his wins are first-round knockouts, the majority of his wins, like almost all of them. But he's got really good wrestling and good enough submission skills that have gotten him wins at the UFC level already. So this guy's a problem. I do, I can't say I trust all of, his skill set yet. He was knocked out on the Contender Series to Sean Woodson after a really grappling heavy battle where he was winning, but he started to get a little sloppy and got knocked out at the first opening that Woodson had, which was a flying knee in round 2, and he was knocked dead there. And he was also tapped out within 30 seconds to Derek Minner, who won via triangle choke. That was, Derek Minner's a specialist, and he's really good. He may not be the best jiu-jitsu guy in the world, but he is maybe the best submission guy in the UFC. He's very fucking good submission-wise, even though he's also, not that he's the best, because most of his wins come via submission. He's like Gerald Meerschaert, but he can tap just about anybody. And, yeah, Terrence McKinney, so he's got holes in his game. I don't see Drew Dober winning via submission, certainly not via triangle choke. But on the feet, Drew Dober's never been knocked out. He's been controlled, out-grappled, and submitted, but he's never been knocked out. And I just see him being a well-versed fighter with, I can't even say he's got the advantage on the feet, but I think he will in this fight. And I'm betting on him to win late in round 1 via knockout or in round 2. I think betting-wise, I don't trust betting against Terrence McKinney. I like the under, plus 105, under 1.5 rounds. I really like that. McKinney can win via submission in round 1 or dominate and even get the submission in the first half of round 2. And either one of these guys can get a knockout. I can't say I love it, the under 1.5 rounds, but it's absolutely worth a bet. You know, a solid bet. Next up, Bruno Silva versus Alex Pereira. This is a weird one. I'm like betting with my heart. I want Bruno Silva to win. Bruno Silva, he's a knockout artist, like fucking amazing knockout artist, but he's fighting a knockout artist who was like one of the best kickboxers ever, I think. Don't hold me to that, but you know, I think this guy built up quite a resume kickboxing-wise. Alex Pereira, you know him. He knocked out Israel Adesanya, or Adesanya, for you Ariel Helwani fans. I'm picking Bruno Silva to win, but I'm skeptical. I'm probably not going to bet on it. And when I imagine Bruno Silva winning, it could be via decision. Could be via standing knockout, I suppose, in some Rountree, Gokhan Saki kind of way. But you know, that's only because he's so good with, you know, on his feet with standing knockouts. And, you know, he's really good on his feet. He's a force. But I'm thinking he's going to be trying to take this to the ground, despite his last Instagram post or Facebook or whatever the fuck, where he said, I want to keep this on the feet so we can find out. Notification, I had to swipe it. So we can find out who the better fighter, better striker is finally, or whatever. It's like some dumbass statement. I hope that was just bait, because Pereira is the better striker. He's also got 4 inches of height. I don't know the reach, but Pereira's definitely got the prowess and power to put away Bruno Silva. He's going to win the striking battle. And Bruno Silva's never been knocked out aside from an exhibition fight on The Ultimate Fighter versus Vitor Miranda. It was round 2, and he was caught with a head kick up against the cage and was out. So his chin has failed him, and that was against Vitor Miranda, who is a very good kickboxer in his own right, and, you know, had success in the UFC. But he's not Alex Pereira, kickboxing-wise. MMA-wise, he may have been more, though. So I'm thinking Bruno Silva, you know, if he does win, it could be via decision. Most likely comes via knockout on the ground. Guy doesn't have one submission victory, although you have to assume he's been training submissions for this fight. So could be a sub, could be a knockout, but I see it happening on the ground, you know. And, of course, I'm not going to bet on it because Alex Pereira, he's not that big of a favorite. It's worth betting something on Bruno Silva, but it's really just, you know, I mean, what's it tell you if I'm picking the underdog but not betting on him? Just trying to be that guy. Next up, Matt Semelsberger versus AJ Fletcher. AJ Fletcher seems like he's got a nice upside, but I'm picking against him here. I say Semelsberger wins. I'm picking via knockout, but I don't know. AJ Fletcher had a really beautiful knockout, flying knee on the Contender Series, Contender Series. And he's got all finishes, submissions, and knockouts in his 9 victories. Semelsberger's got a worse record, but he's already fared well in the UFC. He's smoked guys that get smoked, that, you know, are smokable. And he's hung in there with really tough, I think, ranked fighters like Chaos Williams. He may not be ranked, but he's close. He's probably not ranked. But anyway, Chaos Williams, Semelsberger showed in that fight he can take it. AJ Fletcher, I think he can take it too, to be honest. But I'm betting against him here. I haven't seen him take it, you know. And he's a guy that's got explosive takedowns. He's going to mix those in. And I think he will have some success with Semelsberger. But Semelsberger, he's proven to be just an offensive powerhouse. And I just see the guy with more UFC experience getting a knockout late in round 1. That's what I'm picking. Matt Semelsberger. Not going to bet on it, though. J.J. Aldrich versus Jillian Robertson. I'm picking Jillian to win via unanimous decision. She really reminds me of Jeremy Horn with her grappling and her control, even her takedowns, trip takedowns and everything. Jillian's relentless, and she's just a beautiful grappler. But J.J. Aldrich is scrappy as fuck. She's got, I think, underrated takedown defense. You know, I wouldn't say Jillian Robertson is the beast that Tatiana Suarez was. But J.J. Aldrich, she's still takedownable. And I just see Jillian winning with takedowns, to be honest. Once she's on top, she's going to control. She's going to win that round. Unless she gets a takedown with 30 seconds left. But on the feet, I think J.J. Aldrich has a distinct advantage. That's what makes me reluctant to bet on this fight. Because the odds are very tight. You know, and I consider it tight, too. It's a toss-up. JJ's a very good fighter. Very underrated, I think. Whereas I wouldn't say that about Robertson or really anybody that I'm looking at here on the card. But J.J. Aldrich is underrated. Still, I'm betting against her here. I think Jillian will get it done. I'd love to see her get a finish. Either one of them, really. But Jillian especially, because I love her finishes. But I'm not going to bet on that. I'm picking Jillian to win via unanimous decision. Trevin Jones versus Javid Basharat. I don't know. I'm betting against Jones. Jones has looked good in the UFC. He's had, well, I don't even know if he's looked good, but he's done well in the UFC. That's the thing. He hasn't looked good. And I'm betting against him against a UFC newcomer, because the UFC newcomer's got enough experience where I don't think he can be just overwhelmed. And, you know, well, I suppose it's possible. But, you know, if I were to bet on Trevin Jones, it's one of those just like, you know, like we've seen with him, a comeback knockout. That's what I think his path to victory is over any fighter. He's a guy who just, he's not fighting for a decision. He's good at swinging that left hook, but he's not fighting for a decision, so most decisions he goes to, he's going to lose. I don't know about Basharat's chin. I'm waiting to see what he brings to the table here in this fight. And Trevin Jones is, he's proven to be a very good fighter. But, you know, even regionally, before he got to the UFC, this guy has a lot of regional losses. He's been beatable his whole career, despite his upside, his offensive prowess. So I'm betting against him here. I think he's going to lose a decision, but, well, I'm picking against him, but I'm not betting on it. The odds are very tight. Trevin Jones just doesn't bring a lot to the table. You know, he never really impresses me, but he's gotten that knockout, round 2, round 3. He's gotten that comeback knockout too many times for me to count him out. So, no bet. Next up, Damon Jackson versus Kirk. I think Damon will win this fight. I think he will do it with control. Anytime the guy's on top, he will have great control. He won't be getting up. It's kind of like Jillian Robertson. He's a submission machine. That's always possible, certainly here. Kamuela is a scrappy Hawaiian, though. He's never been submitted. I think he's Hawaiian. He's never been submitted. So I'm picking Damon Jackson to win a decision. Overall, though, I like the bet on Damon Jackson. Money line is minus 115, so it's almost even odds. He's actually even with Kirk. They're both minus 115. I don't see the fight being that tight. I just see Damon Jackson's one way of losing, which is possible, being a knockout. If he's not knocked out, he's walking away with a victory in this fight. So again, I think that's worth a bet, Damon. He's better on the feet. He's, well, I can't say he's better on the feet, but he's good on the feet, and he's absolutely better on the ground. Sabina Mazo versus Miranda Maverick. This fight, I expect Maverick to win a decision. Maverick has shown that she's tough and she can take it and whatever, but she's a really strong, really fucking strong, really good grappler. She's a beast on top. We've seen her against Jillian Robertson, who's a savvy technical grappler, and Miranda just overpowered her. And she's got great technique, too, Miranda Maverick. She doesn't seem like she's the greatest finisher, But I think that's going to help her in a fight with Sabina Mazo. She's not trying to climb her way up like a koala bear. You know, she's got to win this fight via decision and points, I think, via points. I do think there's a bet that's worth it here. It's a sprinkle, just a tad, on Sabina Mazo to win a decision. Just, I don't trust Miranda Maverick as a fighter completely. I think if she's lost, if she can't get the fight to the ground, she's gonna be lost. And even though she's, you know, a competent striker herself, I don't see her winning on the feet. And there's just, not that I really question her cardio, because she's shown that she can be there in round 3, winning or losing. But Sabina Mazo has always shown enough grit, and she's kind of a scrappy sprawl and brawl type too, where I think it's worth a bet, a sprinkle. But my pick is Miranda Maverick via decision. Next up, Cody Brundage versus Dalcha Lungiambula. I'm picking Dalcha Lungiambula to win via knockout round 2, and I'm betting on him strongly. Minus 135 I see right now. I don't know. Cody Brundage is just not that... he never really impressed me too much. He's not an imposing prospect. You know, this guy is scrappy. He's tough. He's shown that in the past with his loss to Nick Maximov, even though he was knocked dead by William Knight on the Contender Series. He's shown to be tough and have heart. I just think Dalcha Lungiambula is going to be better, so much better on the feet. He's much smaller. I don't know about much smaller, but he's going to be the smaller man, but he's going to be the more comfortable fighter. I have it in my head he wins via knockout round 2, but I could see, even if it goes to a decision, him getting the better of Cody. Cody toughing it out, but Dalcha getting the better of him over the last few rounds. Cody's not that seasoned of a fighter, and he's even though he's hung in there and whatever, I can't see him taking over a close fight. So his only shot at winning here, I think, is dominance for 3 rounds. I don't see him putting Dalcha away. Dalcha, I think he can win it. You know, his odds of winning a decision are probably underrated in this fight against a bigger 6-foot guy. But the knockout's going to go to Dalcha if somebody gets knocked out in this fight. So Dalcha's my bet, probably my biggest bet of the whole card. Next up, Guido Cannetti. I know I've heard his name is Guido. I think John Anik was saying Guido Cannetti. I'm calling him Guido. I'm done with this. Jose Aldo Guido Cannetti. There are rules to language. Nah, I know. Whatever. Guido Cannetti, he's 42 years old. This guy's shop worn. We've seen him few and far between. His UFC career, his UFC fights. Chris Moutinho is a very young veteran of MMA with 1 UFC appearance, a 3-round prolonged ass-kicking. But the upside is he's 29 years old. He's a fresh young fighter who's training for months now for his first UFC fight in his mind. His debut at the right weight class where he can make the right impression instead of being a very respectable punching bag. Guido Cannetti, he's relentless. This guy's been able, you know, he's impressed me in his last fight against Mana Martinez. He made that close, but he's very fallible. He's got a lot of holes in his game. I think he fights any sort of a force and he's going to be finished in one way or another, knockout or submission. I don't see that happening here unless it's purely to age, which is always possible. The guy's 42 years old and he's fighting a younger fighter. In fact, I think it's very likely in round 3. I'm not just talking about his chin failing him or whatever. This guy can fall apart in the middle of the fight. But Chris Moutinho, I'm picking him to win a decision, but not betting on him. I just think he's certainly tough as all hell. And despite his losses on the regional circuit, this guy is proven to be very tough. And the way he showed that tenacity, trying to win against Sean O'Malley, shows that he belongs here. He proved that in 1 loss. And I just think I'm betting on that guy that I saw that night. I don't know how this fight's going to go, but I doubt very much Cannetti would win round 3. And on that alone, I think it's a wise bet on Chris Moutinho. First fight of the night and the last fight I'll be doing here, Tafon and Chukwi versus Azamat Marsakhanov. I'm betting against Tafon and Chukwi. I don't know. He just seems too green. Even though he's had a lot of success in his short career, he just seems too green. I'm betting against him. I'm betting Murzakanov, the unknown debutant. That's an actual word. I'm not just some French cocksucker. But I think Murzakanov wins a decision. Tafon and Chukwi just seems outpointable. He's very outpointable, but he's going to spring loose and try to knock you out. He's gonna have moments, and he's gonna try really hard to create those moments against Murzakanov. Really, any fighter. That's his thing. This guy, we've seen him put away good fighters like William Knight and someone else. But really, what impressed me most in Nchukwi's career so far, his career, was when he fought Jamie Pickett. Jamie Pickett, I really expected him. That was when I bet big against Nchukwi, and he impressed me in that fight, but I was really not impressed with Jamie Pickett's tactics. I didn't think he imposed himself on Nchukwi at all. I think he fought too scared, and anybody that doesn't fight scared or get knocked out, of course, by Nchukwi is going to win that fight. If you let his power dictate it, I suppose you can let him back you up and back you down and whatever, but other than that, he's a steady target, and while you always have to watch out, he's very outpointable. So I'm betting against him here. I'm betting on Murzakanov, unanimous decision. Those are my fucking predictions. Let's go to the bets. Oh, wait, first, this podcast is sponsored by Fancy Feast. Be sure to buy Fancy Feast for all your cat's needs. All right, the bets are Ankalaev via TKO over the course of 5 rounds, plus 130. Song Yadong, KO, even money throughout the whole fight. Although you're probably better off playing the rounds 1 and 2 props. It's just, you wind up playing a guessing game because Moraes is so good. So stick with KO, the KO prop bet, you get even money. Khalil Rountree versus Carl Roberson to go under 2.5 rounds, minus 145. That'll be perhaps my biggest bet. And Drew Dober versus Terrence McKinney under 1.5 rounds. I really like that at plus 105. I was surprised to see plus money on that. And Damon Jackson to win via fucking anything. I like him at the money line. I do think he's most likely to win a decision, but I wouldn't bet on it. You can't bet against the guy with a 100% submission rate or whatever he's got going. Sprinkle a little bit on Mazo to win a decision, a $5 bet or whatever. I don't know, just to say you did it. And Dalcha Lungiambula to win. Money line. Could be a knockout. I like him to win via knockout. I actually haven't seen those odds. That's why I didn't pick it. But generally speaking, I like the money line at minus 135. So those are my bets. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. I hope you enjoy the fights. And I hope everything. I hope your mother has a nice day. I hope your shoes look good. I hope you like this video. I'm fucking desperate. I'm doing this for 7 fucking subscribers, and I think most of them are just accidental subscriptions, like I do. I just subscribe to people. I have no JP videos. Who the fuck is this? I'm subscribed to him now. I don't even give a shit if that's the case. Spread the word. I need more accidental subscriptions. Like, share, subscribe. This guy's great. He wears a bathrobe and the Kangol hat. I've never seen such cool gimmicks. Give me fucking respect, or I will show you my yellow fucking teeth. Yeah, they're pretty bad. All right.